Hi Ben Franklin families, Mrs. Scrupa here, and this week's read aloud is The Very Hungry Caterpillar by Eric Carle, and we'll be doing some painted paper collage to create a caterpillar just like in the style of Eric Carle. So let me read to you The Very Hungry Caterpillar by Eric Carle. In the light of the moon, a little egg lay on a leaf. One Sunday morning, the warm sun came up and pop! Out of the egg came a tiny and very hungry caterpillar. He started to look for some food. On Monday, he ate through one apple, but he was still hungry. On Tuesday, he ate through 2 pears, but he was still hungry. On Wednesday, he ate through 3 plums, but he was still hungry. On Thursday, he ate through 4 strawberries, but he was still hungry. On Friday, he ate through 5 oranges, but he was still hungry. On Saturday, he ate through 1 piece of chocolate cake, 1 ice cream cone, 1 pickle, 1 slice of Swiss cheese, 1 slice of salami, 1 lollipop, 1 piece of cherry pie, 1 sausage, 1 cupcake, and 1 slice of watermelon. That night, he had a stomach ache. What do you think if you ate all that food? I don't know. That's a lot of food. The next day was Sunday again, and the caterpillar ate through 1 green leaf, and after that, he had felt much better. Now he wasn't hungry anymore, and he wasn't little and a caterpillar anymore either. He was a big, fat caterpillar. He built a small house called a cocoon around himself, and he stayed inside for more than 2 weeks. Then he nibbled a hole in the cocoon, and he pushed out, and do you know what's going to happen? What happens to the caterpillar after it's wrapped up in its cocoon? What happens? Do you know? It's my favorite part of the book. He was a beautiful butterfly. Look at that. Look at all the details of that butterfly. Isn't that amazing how this caterpillar turns into a butterfly? And you're going to see some of that happening real soon, if not already, in our neighborhoods, because it is that time of year where you'll see some caterpillars and you might find them wrapped up in cocoons around areas. And eventually you'll see a lot of beautiful butterflies flying around Lawrence Township. Okay, let's get ready to create our collage with painted paper and see what we can make. For our project this week, what we're going to do is do some painting on paper to add some details of textures and patterns. And then we're going to take those papers and cut them out. And you can either create the caterpillar that's from The Very Hungry Caterpillar, or we'll create what the caterpillar turned into, the beautiful butterfly. And you can see with the butterfly that all the details of the wings, they're little pieces of paper that are cut and overlapped, creating a collage technique of painted papers that are put together to create those wings. And you can see with the butterfly wings that they are symmetrical, which means that one wing matches the other wing. So what happens on the top of the wing matches on the top of the other side of the butterfly, the wing. Same thing with the bottom of the wing on this side and that side, and the same thing with the designs in between. So you'll be able to create a butterfly, or if you'd like to do the actual caterpillar itself, you can do that, and you can see all the different textures and patterns going on in here with the green part of the caterpillar. So that was all created by painted paper, cut out into the shapes, and then glued together to overlap to create the design. once you have a bunch of paper that is painted with different patterns, designs, and it's all dried up, then what you're going to be able to do is use these papers that you created to create the different shapes and parts of either the caterpillar you were going to create or the butterfly that you would like to create. So remember, the caterpillar has kind of looks like ovals, a bunch of different ovals all pieced together. You can see that, okay, with different shapes and the overlapping of the face. Or you can do the butterfly that's in the story, where we talked about the symmetry, that both wings are the same. You can see the different colors, and you'll start with one color of your colored paper, cut out a shape, and then glue onto another. So the best bet to do, and I'm going to work on the caterpillar right now with you, is besides using just the painted paper that you found, you can also use colored construction paper that you have. And I found also just some random, this one's opened, patterned paper that you can use also that's already created if you happen to have that. So anything that you can use to kind of cut and create the different shapes and overlap with is good to use. All right, so let me just cut this part off of this sketchbook paper. All right, you're gonna need one solid color paper. It does not have to be white. Any color you want is what you're going to glue onto. Now for my caterpillar, I'm gonna I'll use this one, and I'll use this one, since these kind of resemble the green of the caterpillar in Eric Carle's story. And what you can do is you can flip the paper over, and you can use a pencil, and you can draw the shapes that you want to cut out. So since we talked about and we showed the caterpillar looks like overlapping ovals, maybe circles, you can create a whole bunch of those on your paper, such as that. I drew that on the back. And then using your scissors, carefully cut them out. And if you're good at cutting out ovals or circles, you may not need to draw them on the back, okay? And then you have different pattern shapes such as that we're gonna piece together to create a collage to make our caterpillar, okay? All right, so I cut out a whole bunch of these green paper that were painted into ovals, and you're going to need a glue stick. And before you start gluing down your pieces, the best thing to do is to kind of play around with laying them onto your paper to see how they would look being overlapped. So it's a little hard here, them falling. So I'm going to arrange them on my paper to see how I would like them to be. Remember, we used overlapping before in other projects. It means where you put one thing down, one object, and then you glue it a little bit, the next one on top of it, so it's over it, which is overlapping. And you can do it so it has this bend to it, where the caterpillar is kind of looks like it's moving like in the book. Different ways to do that. I also took out of the red painted paper that I had, I cut out a circle for the head, and let's see. I started to kind of arrange my caterpillar onto my paper. Now once you have an idea of how you want it to go and bend, then you could take your glue stick or your liquid glue and you can glue it down so it stays in place. With these now all glued down, I'm not quite done yet. It is taking the shape of what the caterpillar is and in the style of that painted paper and pieced together to create a collage. But we can still add some more details to make it a little more like the Very Hungry Caterpillar. I'm not going to throw these away because I can still use some of this for other areas or other designs for another artwork. And I'm going to look through my painted paper or my regular construction paper, or if you have the pattern paper, and figure out what else you can use to create the other areas, such as the eyes, and he's got this cute little mouth here, the antennas, he's got some feet, and then if you look carefully, he has these little kind of look like little fur going across his back. So for that, what I can do is I can use this purple paper, cut a little piece off where it's painted well, okay, and I'll use this to create the antenna. And what I'll do, since there's two, I'm going to take my paper, I'm going to fold it in half. I'll fold it the other way so it's the painted part's inside. Fold it in half, And then using a pencil, I can draw the shape of what I think is the best shape for that antenna. So kind of like a shape like that, you can see, okay? And then keeping that paper folded, I'm going to cut it out. And if you keep the paper folded while you cut, when you open it up, you should have two equal shapes. And I can use my glue stick and put a little glue on the back. Stick that one there, stick that one there. And do the same thing to find shapes of colors, create them to create the eyes and the mouth. Now I brought out back my crayons because what you can do is use crayons or markers, and I'll select, it looks like on his he has a little bit of yellow, blues, and red, so those primary colors. So I'll get, let's see, can't quite find a yellow in this whole bin. Oh, here's a yellow, a red, and a blue. And what we'll do then is you can just use the crayons and you can just draw little lines on the top here in those different colors to create that furry looking texture of your caterpillar. So there's some red, here's some blue, and I'll use a little yellow. It has those primary colors. So I wouldn't worry too much about cutting those shapes out because those are really thin lines. You can use a combination of other things. So there's that. And he also has his feet. You could choose to cut the feet out with paper, or again, you can use crayons or markers to draw them on, okay? Take a look at that. My caterpillar, I used some orangey brown paper, cut them into triangles to create the feet of the caterpillar, and then did some smaller circles, shapes overlapping to create the face of the caterpillar. I also went ahead and using my painted paper created a butterfly in the style of Eric Carle, overlapping and also thinking of that idea of symmetry as to what happens on the one side of the wings should match the other side. I hope you had fun making this because I know I really enjoy making paper that is painted on and cutting it out and gluing them together to make a collage. You can do the caterpillar, you can do the butterfly, you could do both, or maybe you have another idea of how to combine your paper that you created to create a collage and a beautiful piece of artwork. I would suggest not throwing out these pages that you have, even if they are cut out like this. You can maybe have a box and save these and have fun making other collages with your painted paper because these are really beautiful one-of-a-kind artworks that you created that can be used for other things. So thanks for sharing with me your time and reading with me The Very Hungry Caterpillar by Eric Carle and creating some artwork. Again, if you do this project, please share it with me. Bye, Ben Franklin family.